Welcome back to the Morning Brief on Channels Television, and it's International Women's Day. You know, on this day, so much inspiration coming for women, the encouragement to make women feel beautiful and appreciated. And one of such that resonates with me is that women are nurturers and that they should take flight for their dreams. Apart from taking flight for their dreams, women can also fight for their dreams regardless of the odds. So, what's the progress that women have made so far in the last 1 year, particularly since the celebration of the International Women's Day in 2023? So it's time to reflect on that. And to help us do that, we have joining us on the program today two women powerhouses. Join me as we welcome to the Morning Brief this morning, transformational coach and public policy advisor, Mrs. Debola Deji Kurumi. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you for having me.
We're honored to have you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we also have joining us Mrs. Adobe Alex Oni. She is an entrepreneur. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Good morning. And good morning, viewers.
Yeah. So DDK, of course, we all know DDK. I'm going to start with you. It's important for us to reflect. In the last 1 year, what's the progress that women have made to nation building, particularly when we think about all of the issues that affect women, leadership, SGBV, what's the progress that we've made so far?
I love it. Excited to be here. Great work going on, and happy International Women's Day again. Reflections are powerful, and of course they can be very multidimensional across different parts of society. But from where I stand, the communities that I lead, the opportunities that I get to work with women, and to also observe the kind of traction that we're making, I could highlight a few remarkable arenas of growth, that we've seen. The first to be around women's leadership, not only in the expanded opportunities that women are getting to come into senior executive leadership opportunities, be part of decision making with corporate organizations, and even opportunities for political leadership, but in the way they're showing up. I'm finding many more women, even who are younger, in their 30s, early 40s, who are, showing up and showing out, who are expressing their giftings and, sort of taking more determined positions in making a difference for society. A second thing I would love to really highlight is the power of the woman's voice. We're seeing more coalitions that are non-traditional in terms of, in the past we've explored advocacy as been a tool that we leverage in maybe non-profits, international developments, but we're seeing many more women coming together to stand up for what they believe in, using the power of the media to drive advocacy, and it's becoming really exciting. Maybe a third one would be around courageous entrepreneurship. We're seeing more women stepping out of corporate careers, and corporate careers are great, but it's exciting to find women standing behind their big ideas and, expanding opportunities for impact through entrepreneurship.
So the progress is not necessarily in elected and appointive offices, but
absolutely
in the corporate space.
Absolutely.
And that's,
in fact, for the kind of economy, for the kind of political systems that we have in Nigeria, we have to think about the power of leadership to extend beyond elective or selective political offices.
Amazing. What about you? Do you share similar thoughts?
I'll take it up from being an entrepreneur.
Right.
So for me, it's exciting. It's been exciting to be in a space where you love to do, or where you do what you love. It comes to you naturally. I mean, like the basic line for women is, they're nurturers, they're homemakers. It comes to us natural. So it's like when you're in a space that you love, you're creative, you can go beyond yourself and see things happen. And the good part is, maybe in the people in my generation, in my age, I'm talking about between maybe 40 to 50s right now, we are in a space where we're trying to catch up with these young women. They have some tool in their hands that, they go global. So you see, where people like me start from scratch, you have to think of, how do we get the funds to do this? But these girls have gone global. I mean, they don't have to have a physical store to sell. So you see people patronizing them. So for me, it's a powerful thing that right now there's a great hope. It's no longer about women being shortchanged, or we don't have the financial muscle, we don't have the financial independence. Culturally, we're shortchanged, but they have changed the narrative. They are telling us, look, things are happening, and I'm glad to have joined, because at some time you see me, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do this internet thing, and my son says, Mommy, please wake up.
Right.
You know, and because the business I run, we're heavy on social media, and that has helped. When COVID came, we didn't know what to do, we were lost. But guess what? That was the peak of our business. That was when we picked up. So for me, it's no longer about women getting the handouts. They are no longer part of the agenda. They're already sitting at the table. So it's interesting, it's sweet to hear each time we talk about women now, we highlight our strong points. We're no longer looking like, oh, how do we get this? I mean, it's so easy that even the financial world has realized that, look, oh, these women, if we don't harness what they have, we might be losing a big portion of some group who will give us so much money, because now you have what you call movable collaterals. You don't have to have a house to borrow. You can use your wigs. People who have expensive wigs can use, you can use your jewelry. So it's fantastic that we're in an exciting time for women. And for me, I'm so happy that we highlight moments where women are no longer victims, but they actually sit at the table right now.
Amazing mindset change.
So,
Jeffrey.
I'm wondering, because I like numbers. First question, have women built that critical mass not to be ignored? Whether it's in entrepreneurship or in leadership, so it's questions to both of you. Have you built that critical mass not to be ignored? And what is the world and Nigeria positing it here missing out for ignoring if that critical mass is there and the country is not aware?
That's an excellent question. To explore the critical mass, I feel like a safe set of matrix to consider would not merely to look at the numbers in terms of volume, but also look at the collateral impact of those who show up. So beyond saying, is it 20% or 30% of women who are in their 30s to 50s are those who have access to, board leadership opportunities, or how many people sit within political leadership within a constituency, etc. But to also say, for those who have found their voices and those who are showing up through entrepreneurship, ministry, faith-based engagement, social impact, public policy, governance, whatever, how are they showing up? Along the lines of the numbers, we still can tell that on the continent of Africa, women are still underrepresented. That is the reality. But we are moving past the underrepresentation in numbers to sort of explore other metrics for how to tell that progress is happening. And we can see things like the caliber of young women showing up on the horizon, the caliber of older women showing up on the horizon. In fact, we have this interesting re-emergence of senior citizens who, like Adelbi is saying, are finding the power of media, the power of technology to reinvent possibilities for themselves beyond the limitations of age. So from where I stand, I do believe that there's been great progress. I believe that there has been an abundance of valuable knowledge that is causing women to unlock their genius and make greater investments in their expertise. And there's this rise of those that I love to call the future forward female, who are now in demand across healthcare, technology, education, and just all arenas of human endeavor. So that's how we're looking at it. We're also excited about the really younger women who are in the Gen Z zone, who are just boundless, because we treat them as natives of possibilities. What that means is they have been born into a world order where anything is possible and your talent is bankable. Those things are powerful. And they've taken away some of the barriers that stood in the way of women to access opportunities, access markets, access financial, resources. Now, some of the things that we thought were created by a patriarchal society were not necessarily created by a patriarchal society. They were just created by the limitations of economies, the limitations of markets, especially if you are a woman of African descent. So sometimes when you're feeling like they've given men all the power, it wasn't really about men having the power. It was about women maybe not accessing sufficient education, or not accessing sufficient expertise, or not accessing sufficient communities. Today we have communities that are themselves empowering, where even if you don't have all the insights you require to build a business, if you get, inducted into some entrepreneurial communities, you literally fast track your journey to business success by as much as between 25 and 40% in the course of 1 year. So are we there yet? Absolutely not. Are we where we used to be? Surely not. But if Nigeria or the African continent continues to still miss out on the half of its people, I can highlight 3 things that 100% will continue to happen. The first is that there will be no cultural champions within the corporations that we're building. One of the things that you find missing with the African continent is, especially on the entrepreneurial landscape, is the inability to build transgenerational businesses. The kind of things you find in the West, the kind of things you find in Asia, businesses that are 100, 200-year-old and have been on running, building legacies. When you want to build a legacy-driven transgenerational business, you need culture champions that continue to pass on, the core ideologies of its founders and continue to inspire creativity and genius. And women are naturals at that. So 100%, if we do not strengthen the investments that we make in women as the half of the population, we're not going to be able to build legacy champions and culture custodians within corporate institutions. We are relying significantly on entrepreneurship to trigger sufficient economic activity that can take us out of the gridlock that we found ourselves. So we need women stepping up in that way. Maybe I'll stop at a second, and it's around how the family system is still a very defining bedrock of cultural values and societal stability. And women have taken, that natural position based on nurture and nature to be those who preserve the homestead. Today, what you actually have happening is women are under significant pressure as economic contributors in families. And if we don't have policies that support reproductive rights, policies that support family planning, policies that support flexi working, remote working, and sort of just allow women, and still for women, able to serve in the family front. So if we find the policies, the corporate strategies that allow women to be nurturers within the home front, but still move forward with their dreams, like you were saying, take flight with your dream or fight for your dreams. If we have that balance happening, we're going to really be able to preserve a good heritage for society.
I kind of love this conversation. It's like a mini course of sorts, just taking us through. And it's brilliant because you have an overview, governance, entrepreneurship, corporate, spirituality, and the rest. She's entrepreneurial, even with media as well. I don't know if I can call you AAO, borrow from her styling. GDK, AAO. Can we do that?
That's fine.
You love that, right? Yeah. So, I mean, you talked about the younger generation just, smashing things. And we have to give some credit really to the generation before that, whether we like it or not, because you're like building block. You may not have done it directly, you may not have mentored them directly, but they got to learn from you, maybe your mistakes or things that you did well. And I'd like both of you to speak to this. Maybe you might want to add to what she said, but if you were to speak to a lady, a woman today, and you want to give her a startup toolkit, to be a leading woman, what would be in that toolkit? Let's unbox it this morning.
First, confidence. Second, confidence. 3, confidence. Believe in yourself.
Right.
I mean, I can give you all the tools in the world and you do nothing with it. Like, for me, I like to tell my story because it's practical. When I started my business, it was just with a half bag of flour I had at home. And if Jide didn't show me that I could do something from what I like to do for them on Saturday mornings. You know, I would make pancakes, fry eggs, sausage, feed them so heavy that by 12 they're not asking me they want lunch. So I was doing that, but not knowing that somebody was looking at it and saying, you know how tiring as a wife, you're the driver, you're the cook, you're the mother, you're everything. So I tried to manage my time, knowing that this time is my kryptonite. So I make that heavy breakfast on Saturdays and hoping that by 12:01, I would have had some rest. And so by the time I get back to the kitchen is, okay, fine. But, you know, Chide was looking at me like, this woman can make something from this. Sorry. And then, oh, my husband, sorry.
Right, just to be clear. He for she, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he like saw this vision for him. And then so when he started talking about, you know, he's a wealth manager, he started talking about startup aquariums, and he said, Ada, I could actually start with you. I said, Chide, you started again. Leave this matter. How? For us, it wasn't fashion. It wasn't like, oh, we're tired of what to do. Our jobs were heavy. It was just, oh, a pastime. No, we're at the point where the kids were going off to secondary school. We had some financial struggles. And so we're looking at what do we do best. And that is why I said confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, no matter what I give you, you're not going to make anything out of it. So he said, Ada, let's just do this. Let's call our friends for starters and say, oh, we're opening a breakfast restaurant. And I'm like, Jide, but I thought of this, like when we retire, this will be our, you know, when the kids have gone off to start a new life, I don't have to be traveling up and down as grandma. I'll just sit down one place and be doing my stuff. And so we did that, you know, on a Friday morning. And he had this space in his office, and I came around, we did the pancakes, and friends came. And they were like, how much? I said, okay, 600 naira for a plate. And they said, oh, really? And so the pancake hop started. And funny enough, at the point that the kids were off from school, they will come serve in the kitchen as, you know, waiters. Jide will be sitting somewhere, collecting the money, and I will be in the kitchen happily smiling and cooking the food. That even one review, what they did was they said, oh, and the chef, obviously the wife, is busy smiling through flipping the pancakes, and the children are everywhere, and the man, you know, they keep asking. So it was like something that we did together, and we loved it. And so when the money came, it was, oh God, thank you. But it sustained us because we had passion doing it. A lot of people said, oh, why don't you guys add other things? Why breakfast? And Jide said, no, Ada, we have to stick to this. It has to be breakfast. And so, I mean, for you to have the tool is to have the willpower to. I've cried so many times on that business, so please don't think it's all rosy.
You confidently cried.
There's been times, yes. In fact, sometimes I've lost my confidence, though. I must be truthful. There are times like, is this thing working? Are you sure? Some days you come, no customers turn up, and he just keeps saying, Ada, hold on. Some days are like this. I say, are you sure? Sometimes by one, nobody. I'm like, okay, you know what, guys? Just turn on the gas. Let it be that fire, you know, touch something today here. So the thing is, the young women of today are stronger. They need no tool. The tools are in their hands, because before you tell them anything, they already know what you want to tell them. And it's a beautiful thing that the internet is showing us so much. But at the same time, it's also going to be our doom if we don't take time, because people go way overboard. You know, see, because you think when you're in that space, you're invincible. So you can do anything you like, say anything you like, and think it has no consequences. But when they come back to haunt you, you either in 1 second bring down everything you've built. So for me, I would say that it is important to be cultured. It takes me back to what she's saying. If you're not grounded from the family, do whatever you like.
Two C's.
You're not going to make
confidence,
it.
culture.
Culture.
DDK, what's your toolbox like?
Oh gosh, Adalbi, well done. Enjoying the conversation so much. From where I stand, I feel a bit differently about some of the things I'm observing with younger women. Quite excited, like I've described them. They're natives of possibilities, and they are in a space where the world is for the taking. A few things I have in that toolbox, and I've been actively coaching several thousands of women yearly, and we're finding that some of these conversations are really defining in shaping how they move forward. The first is around authenticity. It's so critical to start to transition from social stereotypes to purpose prototypes. We're in a time where...
Say that again.
transitioning from social stereotypes to purpose prototypes.
Yeah.
Yes. So leaning into your soul signature, leaning into your life's calling, leaning into your unique archetype, the person that you are by original design. You know, the gift of the media is that you can own a voice and have a platform to express your passion and your views, but the cruelty or the tyranny of the media is that you can be made in the image of another person. You just have to set an image before your eyes long enough till it becomes an idol. This is an age-long principle, and it leads to what is called identity theft. So I find so many young women who have set before themselves an image of older women or icons globally, and they have tried so hard to become a person that they are not. Where your power really lies is in living true to self. It's in aligning your actions to your values and behaving your belief. The reason it matters is if you don't behave your belief, you're going to ultimately despise and loathe who you are. So the opposite of authenticity is not fakeness, it's not inauthenticity, it's actually self-loathing, it's self-aggravation, not being able to stand yourself when you are with yourself. So there are many young women who have images of who they want to be by just taking the externalities of these people that they admire without really leaning into who they are to say, who would I prefer to be? What kind of family do I want to build? What kind of marriage do I want to have? What kind of brand would I prefer to build? And when I'm in my 40s or when I'm in my 60s, what nature of institution of a person would I prefer to have become? So I would say start out where you are, look at models and mentors, but ensure that you are also on a journey to authenticity. This is big deal. The second thing I would like to highlight is to sort of take at the jugular the campaign of the soft life. There's a soft life campaign that is going to ultimately hurt young women, where it's all about live your life as though you're permanently on vacation and try so hard to tell the world that you've got everything going for you. And even though you're young, you're already a boss lady. The boss lady concept is very unhealthy and injurious to femininity and being a nurturer. You are a woman. A woman is a nurturer. And I feel like I have earned my place to be able to say that because I've grown a multi-subsidiary corporation that is impactful globally as a young woman. So I'm not, a broke, tired, afraid, stuck woman somewhere who is just saying, look, I'm afraid of those who want to go out there and do big things. Do big things, but do it from a place of the unwillingness to trade your femininity, your love for family, your submission to systems that God has designed to make the world work. So I would say there's something with the soft life that is unsafe. You have 23-year-old girls who want to wear what a 48-year-old successful woman is wearing, drive the kind of car she's driving, and travel the countries she's traveling. When a young girl or a young woman is under that kind of pressure, she's going to do what she doesn't need to do, feeling like the natural process of life is too slow for her, whereas she's where she's supposed to be at that age. The third would be around investing in catalytic empowerment, and that is, forgive the use of the big words. I get called out for it a lot, but general gist, invest in growth. The books you need to read, the causes you need to access, the communities you should belong in. Treat yourself as an asset and leverage yourself. Ask yourself continually, what is it going to take to unlock the next level of my genius and make that investment? Just the same way you'd put your money in stocks or mutual funds or real estate. Put yourself in the context that unlocks the next level expertise that you need to show up powerfully in the world.
Wow, Kaide, you're right. I'm going to call this edition an education on how to contribute to nation building as a woman. And it may be planned, but it's totally unscripted. And I'm learning so much from your toolboxes this morning. But it would be remiss of us to have this edition without talking about sexual and gender-based violence. We have recorded some progress in the last 1 year with some prosecutions, but I wonder if that progress is majorly out of what has been reported, not necessarily what abounds that we're not seeing already. DDK, I know that you inspire women not just on the national level but on the international level, and you have some knowledge base there, and this goes to you as well, as a woman. Do you find that religious and traditional institutions are complicit in making women, see bad relationships, as a calling to martyrdom, and seeing, underage marriage as traditional? And how can we change that that mindset? Because for you to have women as nation builders, you have to have them emotionally healthy and physically healthy. So I'm starting with you, DDK.
That's such a great question. It's a space where I carry a burden as well. I don't have all the answers, and I know that there are specialists who sit into these spaces because of their work, their research, etc. From where I stand, there are about 3 things I could highlight that I find really defining in terms of how we're looking at those considerations around gender-based violence, sexual offenses, and women in marriages that are abusive, oppressive, and repressive. The first, and I would love to agree with you as a person of faith, I say it with caution, with sobriety, but I find indeed that religious and religious institutions are often complicit. Now, if I even explore the way that we portray or sometimes preach the Christian faith message, you may find that a woman who grew up in the church may feel a sense of obligation to stay in a marriage almost onto the point of death, because she has this belief that there's a requirement of submission that becomes subjugation unconsciously. But that is actually not the truth concerning the Christian faith and the Christian message. But there's a way that it's been taught over time. There's also an unconscious burden that is placed on the woman as the one who is the homemaker, the home builder, that if she's wise, she has to figure a way to build the home against all odds. And it many times absolves the men of the requirement of leadership, of mentorship, of covering and guidance. Whereas being a husband is drawn from the concept of husbandry, which is around grooming and nurturing and bringing out the best to fruition in that person that you're grooming. So to the extent of the caliber of conversations that have been widespread and proliferated, the church or religious institutions, we could be complicit. I also find that because spiritual leaders have such significant degree of power, but it hasn't been matched with sufficient specific expertise in counseling. I feel like religious leaders should typically also seek out opportunities to be certified as counselors, to be able to unpack issues, understand stereotypes and patterns that are unhealthy, and make wise judgment on issues, because a significant percentage of those who are within religious institutions look up to their leaders to make the most defining decisions in their lives. But moving from what I have observed and why I consider religious institutions complicit, I will go straight on to the question you're asking around what could we do differently. The first is to continue to make the investments in the women themselves. This thing is powerful. There's a way that sometimes we feel like the conversation is always about the woman. Like, what about the men? I asked that question myself as well. But one of the things that drives the work that I do, providing empowerment to women, is because I have found women who were bound in repressive situations and were able to come out and save their families, save their children, get out of that abuse simply because they saw themselves differently. So every time a woman stays in abuse, there's identity distortion. So keep making the investment in the women. Before society shifts, policy shifts, religious institutions shift, even though I can't get to some thoughts I have of what they could do differently, make sure you help a woman see herself, put in her hands the tool to stand alone so that she doesn't have to be bound in abuse.
Thank you, DDK. I mean, you kind of summarized what society should do. But for me, being a mom of 2 teenagers, I always try to look at it from the point of family. And being a person of faith, to an extent, that's my family too. So sometimes what I take home from the sermon or from the preaching for that day, I reflect in my family. I work with an organization called the JDPC in my parish, and we'll go out to talk about drug abuse, substance abuse, and then you find out that you have 10-year-old children who are into drug abuse. Sometimes the parents of these children are approached and we talk to them, and they agree to come for counseling. But guess what? They don't show up because why? Their neighbors are going to laugh at them. The people in church are going to see their children as the worst of all. And we tell them no child is immune to bad behavior, no matter how strongly you have raised yours. So for me, I think the work should not be left to the women alone. It should start from even our traditional rulers. Some norms and beliefs that we have, they are very strongly with us. And if we don't start to rethink, talk about these things from the grassroots levels, from the homes. The churches are big. I mean, the big people come to church and just listen and go home. But from schools in the villages, from markets, you know, that you empower a woman is all about telling her, look, you know, when something happens, speak up. It's not so much as in sitting down and saying, oh, we have to do this, we have to do. No, it's knowing that she has the trust that when she speaks up, something will happen. You said something big. You said, is it that things have been achieved and not seen? Yes, because a lot of times, even when the good deeds have been done, people are afraid to own up to them because of stigmatization. And until we come out of that league, until we come out of that mindset, like I said, my mother would tell me, close one eye in your marriage. But children of these days, they opened all the eyes. And so I might not be in a position to tell my child, close one eye. So that is the good. I like to highlight the strong points. That is the good thing we have going for us. We're all enlightened now, but at the same time, let us not just say it's a woman thing. The men too should get into the habit of grooming, and being supportive. You know, don't just see it as a competition where your wife is trying to do something. Or I'm just talking to everybody generally out there. You have to be very supportive and being into it.
All right. 30 seconds each for both of you on this one. I've listened to all of the very deep insights you brought to the table, but I'm concerned about positional leadership. The president came on board on May 29th and said, subsidy is gone. Nigeria has been vibrating since then. That's how powerful the office of a president or a political leader is. Now, one of the things I personally see that is missing in leadership generally run by men is empathy, which women have in abundance. So what's the hack for women to get to these spaces? 30 seconds. I know it can be difficult, but 30 seconds.
We'll try.
Coalitions. We have to rally behind an agenda, and beyond the divides of tribe, religion, or political affiliations, going on into the next dispensation that brings leaders into office, we have to begin to prepare ahead of that. And if women come into a coalition based on gender and values, there's a lot that we can do to push them in. 30 seconds.
Yeah, for me, I think it's all about being aware of the power you have as a woman, of the strength that you can bring, of what you can bring to the table. Because these men, the presidents, obviously somebody's son, right? Whoever that is commissioner, minister is somebody's child. So if I can't be at that table, I can influence somebody who is going to be at that table to think that, look, if I bring more women on board, things could change. So the empathy you talk about, a woman can get there and not have the empathy. That's the truth of the matter. But if we begin to sound this warning, sound this message, groom our children, I can't speak for adults, but I can speak for children that are yet to get there. Look, when you get there, know that this person is your sister, is your wife, is your mother, and deserves some respect.
All right.
Everything for me boils down to the home.
Quickly, I'd like you to answer short answers. What a man can do, a woman can do better. Do you agree?
We can do very well, both.
All of those things. Behind every successful man is a...
Is it better? No, it's beside.
I want us to deal with all of those sayings. They always come up.
Are you talking about the hard jobs, the hard tasks, engineering?
No. Just generally.
It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Behind every successful man is a...
No, it's not behind again. It's beside.
So now it's beside. I just want us to address these things as a
but is it in contention, really?
It's not in contention,
It's not. It's just... you're the head, we're the neck. If we move, where do you go to?
Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily.
Right.
These things are not black and white like that.
Right. So find what works for
Beside
you.
every successful man is really just about an empowering other person who could be their father, their mother, brother, sister, husband, or wife, associate, co-founder. That's how I see it.
Now, one word. What do women want?
What do women want? That is the toughest question you could be asking me in this moment.
And we don't have the time for all
We don't have the time for it.
No one word answer to that.
No one would answer on
No
that
one wise word answer to that.
Let me try, because this
One
is
word,
a
one word.
valuable platform.
Yeah.
What do women want? Well, there might be many things they want. One thing is, I feel, would be latitude, room to be. The constraints are too many. Anytime you encounter a woman, give her latitude. Let her express herself. Give her room. You know, remove the labels and the boxes. Let her be. And you'll be amazed what she'll be when you allow her be.
Awesome, amazing. You know, we started by saying that we're different, but there's nothing that we cannot do without each other. Men leadership, women partnership. So we go so far together, but when we go alone, we don't go, you know, we don't cover much space. It's been awesome having you on the program. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank you. AAO and DDK.
Thank you very much.
AAO entrepreneur, Mrs. Adobe Alex Oni, entrepreneur. Thank you so much for being on the program, for your contributions. And we also thank you very much, Mrs. Debola Deji Kurumi, transformational coach and public policy advisor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure for being here.
And we look forward to having you again.
Absolutely.
And happy International Women's Day.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Happy International Women's Day. Let's not be like we didn't say it. We said it.
Lovely.